analyzer cannot pick up something imaginary. Let's see. Here we've got spectrum analyzer B. This is a different spectrum analyzer. But as you can see here, the current reading is the real thin line down at just above the green line, or kind of going across the green line there. That's horizontally. The peak readings is the light blue line that is very jagged and goes up to the left. And I believe the average is what the dotted line is. So here you can see they have, in this particular spectrum analyzer, it shows the marker there at 20 hertz and at 93% amplitude. Excuse me. So what that is showing is an amplitude of roughly somewhere between 73 and 84 decibels of 20 hertz noise at that given intersection. Now, if you see where the line goes up to the left, that goes into infrasound and lower frequencies. And the amplitude gets even higher going into those lower frequencies. So you can see there's a portion of this noise that is in the audible range from 20 hertz forward to roughly, let's see, according to this, well, it tapers off there, but you can see it covers from roughly 20 hertz to 149 hertz. I mean, it goes past that, but you can see that's where the most disturbing portions of the noise are, in that lower, extreme low frequency range. And the amplitudes, the peaks of the amplitudes are reaching far above 70 decibels. There, as you can see on the numbers on the left-hand side of the screen, the decibel level. So this is further evidence of the presence of the low frequency noise that I've been referring to, coming from the power lines or the power line equipment. I'm not sure exactly what is particularly transmitting the sound. As I stated, based on my research, I suspect that it's the harmonics and dirty electricity coming from the nonlinear load of the TV station, which is dumping back into the grid, which I've been able to pick up not only at this property and here at this property, but at multiple points, not only going down White Oak Avenue, but over onto McConnellsville Road, Richards Road, and even on 22, State Route 22, going over towards the Adamsville exit and I-70. Right over in that area, I was able to pick up the same sound. Not only with devices, but I was able to actually hear it for myself. I followed the power lines, which were going back towards the power plant over, I can't remember where it's at, over there in that direction, northeast of the Zanesville area. So more than likely, these harmonics, this dirty electricity, is getting dumped into the grid, and it's flowing back to the source, or because electricity typically flows in the path of least resistance, it's just going wherever it can go. And one of the other places that it can go is into machinery that's tied into the electric grid. There's heavy equipment, heavy machinery, sawmills, furnaces. If there's other things that are tied in and run off of the electric grid at these particular businesses, like Stave Company, like Casting Solutions, what happens is the equipment manifests these harmonics, this dirty electricity, into sound, because the particular devices or the particular machinery isn't equipped to handle the harmonics. It manifests the harmonics into audible sound. And so what happens is when the harmonics are present in the electric grid or in the electric service lines, they cause the machinery to operate louder, because it has no other way to handle the harmonics. And so it causes transformers to buzz very loudly. It causes motors to make whining noises, and screeching noises, and all kinds of things where it typically wouldn't be there with clean electricity. And so, even though these businesses, particularly the Save Company and Casting Solutions, may have operated throughout the night prior to this changeover and not been disturbing because maybe their machinery was quieter or more quiet and less disturbing to a level that I couldn't hear it at this property at that time. But once the changes were made to the electric grid, I suspect because it was after that time that the noise from these businesses became evident and more disturbing. When I didn't notice it prior to the July 2018 timeframe when the electric company made the changes to the power grid. So I suspect that when the electric company made the changes, they caused these business, the equipment that the business operators are operating, they caused that machinery to operate even louder because of the presence of harmonics and dirty electricity in the systems. So that is what I suspect is the reason why in July 2018, the noise from these local area business operators became a disturbance as well. And which was another reason that I wanted to get in contact with Donald Mason, being that he has extensive history with the Public Utility Commission of Ohio, with the utilities in general in different aspects and contexts and capacities. He sat on energy boards. He has he's done quite a lot, at least on paper. He's been a representative of these committees and these organizations. What he's actually done, I have no idea. But I figured with his background and being that he's from the area, that he would be a good point of contact to go over these issues with and to get it addressed. Because not only from the standpoint of the noise, which he knew it was their responsibility, even though he changed his tune, and so did his cohorts like Doug Murray. These incompetent people that can't seem to follow a standard. Even though they admitted it was their responsibility in the beginning, they changed their tune and they started attacking me. And no matter how much evidence I gathered and provided to them, they didn't care. Because I think at that point, they already screwed up, and for them to do the right thing at that point would have put a lot of egg on their face, to put it simply. It would have shown blatant criminal activity if they would have admitted it. And that's why I had to resort to the contracts, sending the contracts out, because they refused to cooperate. They wanted it their way, and they didn't care. It was their way or the highway. And that's not how this country is supposed to work. I don't know if you people have been paying attention, but we have things like the Constitution. We have contracts and charters in place to bind these public servants, to prevent them, it's supposed to prevent them, from acting outside the bounds of the laws, regulations, and codes and statutes that bind them, that tell them what they can and can't do. And here, because they are too stupid to realize what the term home rule status means, they think it's a license to create whatever laws they want. They can do whatever they want as if they have authority over the state or the federal government. It doesn't work that way. The municipality, the local quote-unquote government, is the inferior government. They are at the bottom of the totem pole, not at the top. So everything that the city does, the municipality does, any of the laws that they create, that the legislation creates, any of the codes and statutes, any of the regulations that they create, it cannot contradict established laws that have been established by the legislature of the state, the legislature of the federal government, the Supreme Court rulings, or the Constitution, period. Not to mention the fact that there's a constitution for every state. And even though these constitutions for the states are very, very similar and close to the Constitution for the United States of America, it's not identical. But still, it is written in these contracts, in these charters, these constitutions, what these public servants are not supposed to be able to do, or what they can and can't do. It's supposed to limit them, to limit government, to prevent government from being tyrannical. Which, hello, if anybody's been paying attention. Okay. So next we have, this is a video. It's just a video of, some of the personnel. Here, I'll go ahead and pull it up. It's a video of some of the personnel from AEP doing the noise assessment on my property. I picked up with my security cameras. You can see there in the top left camera, there's a couple vehicles sitting in my driveway. These are, if I remember correctly, yeah, because in the center picture there you can see ZPD. They knew better than to come on my property, so they stay out in the road. And AEP representatives, that's the two vehicles that are sitting there in front of my garage on the top left. They're sitting there waiting. Here in a moment, they'll get out. Kind of go through this, jump through this a little bit because this is kind of long, about 20 minutes or so. I'm going to fast forward here, and you can see, looks like they're just getting out of their cars there. There they are walking around. You can see in the center there, top center, they're coming around the front of the property towards the police vehicle sitting in the street. What they're doing here is they're using a device to perform a noise assessment. They're picking up the low frequency noise, which I'll show you the results of. But this is just evidence showing that they walked around my property, that they were actually here. I'll jump through this a little bit more. You can see there, they're in this bottom center camera. They're in the back side of the house taking readings. So they walked around the entire property and took readings, which is what the city could have done at any given point in time. But they use all these excuses. They need right of entry. They need me to sign all these documents and forms to authorize them to do all these things. It's nonsense. Especially once I determined that there was noise coming from the power lines that was separate from the noise coming from the business operators in the area. They should have been able to figure this out. The city didn't need to come to my property. Didn't need to have me sign any forms to allow them right of entry. What they needed to do is they needed to test outside from the street at the closest point within the city limits to these offending locations. So for the stave company, it would have been off of Sharon Avenue, right there where White Oak dead ends into Sharon. Respectively in that general area on the street there on Sharon, on the south side of Sharon. They should have set up a situation there to be able to test the noise coming from the stave company. From Casting Solutions, it would have been the closest point within the city limits to their location. So somewhere out, if I remember correctly, off of Licking Road, right there where you first turn onto Licking Road, where it cuts around. There's that ball diamond right there, parking lot. And I think there's like a ball diamond or something behind those businesses where you cut back through to get to Licking Road. They should have tested from over in that area for the noise, but they didn't. See, they played this game as if they had to have me sign a form to allow them to put a device in the house for them to test, which is contrary because the noise, it doesn't stay, according to the code, it doesn't state that the noise has to be a disturbance inside of a structure. It says on the street. So outside. That's, if it's disturbing outside, it's a disturbance of the peace. But it was even worse because it was a disturbance inside. But they use this game of, oh, well, we can't do this, we can't do that because we need to have you sign this document. We need to have you authorize. Basically, what they were trying to do is get me to authorize them to do whatever the hell they wanted to do. And I feel that if I would have signed that document, they would have done testing in a manner that would have given false positives or, I guess, false negatives in this instance, to make it seem like there is no noise. So then they could say, well, the expert went out and tested and the expert didn't find anything. That's how they do this. That's how they play these games. They manipulate everything. Let's see. Here I'm going to pull up this. Turn this up here. Here's a recording, just for posterity's sake, of the stave company's noise. Now this is from the master balcony, the deck off the elevated deck off the back of the house, pointed in the direction of the stave company, north. Now, it may be difficult for you all to hear because it's a recording, playback of a recording from a basic device. And if you listen in the background, you can hear a couple birds chirping. But if you listen, it almost sounds like a jet engine running. There's a little bit of a hiss, there's some static noise, but you can hear the machinery. And of course, you got the rooster too. Yeah, I don't know how clear you guys can hear that, but that's not the best representation. But it is a recording of the noise. Let's see, this goes on for several minutes there. And as you can hear, it's progressively getting louder. No, I mean, you can definitely hear the static, the hiss of the static in the background. But you can hear, if you pay attention and listen through all the other noise, you can hear the machinery, which sounds like it's almost like a jet engine spooling. So, but that's typically the noise from their machinery. If I remember correctly, I think they've got a sawmill and a bunch of other heavy machinery to break down whole entire trees. And so I think this is the sound of either a generator or the machinery that's running the sawmill, the motors and everything that are spinning the blades, that's making the noise. And so, I mean, you can hear, it's just constant. So next, here is a recording from the entrance. I walked over to the location of the stave company. Now keep in mind, this is about 1/3 of a mile or so, give or take, from this property. And so what I did was, after I recorded there, the last recording that I was playing, that was from the master balcony, the elevated balcony up the back of the house. Right after I finished that recording, I immediately walked outside and walked down the road to the stave company location so I could record from the easement of their property, so I could have further verification that it was their facility. There's a house there. You can see the lights back behind. That's all the lights from the facility. Now, if you look up the stave company, they are actually tucked right in the middle of this neighborhood. There, I don't know if you can see it. That's the sign. It reads the stave company. A little hard to see, there's not much light. But you can hear the machinery. And as I stated, if you look up on a map where the stave company is located, conveniently they're tucked right in the middle of the neighborhood. relatively right there off Sharon. And the city limit line, because they use this argument that, oh, it's jurisdiction this, and we can't enforce anything in the county, blah 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 blah. So they use this excuse. Well, if you look at the city limit line, it looks like there's a giant bite taken out of the city limit line, and right where that bite is taken out is right where the stave company's property is. And so conveniently, these politicians have snaked the city limit line around the property to keep the stave company in the county technically, even though that whole facility is in the middle of a neighborhood. So they're intermixing industrial and residential, and it's a recipe for disaster. That's why in many communities across the country, they specifically segregate the industrial businesses and properties from the residential properties because of noise issues primarily. But then you also have issues with the heavy trucks coming in and out, tearing up the road, dragging dirt and debris onto the road, making it filthy and nasty. These are sorts of things that should be further out in an industrialized location, like, say, out off of North Point Drive, where there's a lot of industrial businesses out there. That's where businesses like this should be moved to, away from the general population, so that way they can operate their machinery and not be disturbing, and then there wouldn't be all of this rigmarole and hassle and nonsense. So you can see there's machinery moving around, vehicles moving around. I think at one point I'm getting a timestamp. It's 4:40 in the morning. 4:43 to be precise. And this noise goes all night long. And see, at any given moment in time, after I made Doug Mary or Donald Mason or any of these incompetent fools aware of the situation, they could have, like Sergeant Patnod did, they could have come to this particular business or Casting Solutions or whichever and witnessed the noise for themselves, just like I'm doing right here. So that way they're not listening to a recording from a device that's not a, how should I say, 100% professional recording device. So it's going to have some other noise, other static noise, other interference. Whereas, professional recording devices typically have more filters and better microphones to pick up the sounds more clearly. So I'm using what was at my disposal. Not only the internal microphones of the devices, but in some instances I have an external microphone that I plug into the device that has a little bit better clarity and is set up for directional recording, so I can point it at I can point it directly at a source, and it will pick up the noise from that source primarily, and it for the most part will drown out some of the surrounding noise. Not always, though, as you could hear with the crickets, because it's essentially just a bowl with a microphone in the middle of it. It's one half of a parabolic microphone, so it creates a situation where I can use it as a directional microphone. Now that you can hear, that was a truck going by. But this is the machinery from the stave company. And as you can hear, the crashing and rocks rattling around. Again, 4:43 a.m. can hear the crashing. I don't remember if it was this one or another video. There was a worker that walked up as he was leaving the facility. He got off work and I had a quick conversation with him. Well, I wouldn't call it a conversation, I would say exchange. But I can't remember if it was this recording or a different one. Probably a different one.
You work here?
Oh.
Yeah. Are they supposed to have operations 24 hours a day? What the hell do you think that is, genius?
10-hour shifts, dumbass.
Oh, excuse me, 20 hours a day, not 24, you fucking retard.
And there you have it. See, in reality, they probably do operate 24 hours a day. They probably operate the machinery for 2 10-hour shifts, but then they have more than likely 2 hours of maintenance in between each shift, or 4 hours of maintenance in the middle of the night. So, at any rate, it's all semantics. They're operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in many capacities. But the noise is very disturbing, as you witnessed. Early morning hours, and I've taken recordings at 11 p.m., midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. It just, they don't care. So next we have casting solutions. Let's see. Got a couple recordings here from this property, and then I actually traveled again to their location. So this is a little clearer than the last recording, but if you listen, not only do you hear the roar of the machinery, but you can hear it's almost like a harmonic sound. Its pitch and tone is very, very close to a tornado siren. If you hear that, it almost sounds like a gigantic vacuum cleaner or something like that. It's making that, not the whooshing sound, but the I can turn it off. That's aggravating. So that's what I get to hear almost every night, all night long. Let's see. So this is another recording of Casting Solutions noise from this property. This is a little bit clearer. That tapping noise is my dog walking around. You can hear machinery. And you can hear that strange, like harmonic, I don't know how to describe it necessarily. It's not necessarily a ringing noise. It kind of is. But if you've ever ran your finger around the rim of a wine glass, and the noise that a wine glass makes when that is done, it's very, very similar to that same pitch and tone, but very loud. Again, this noise is coming from Casting Solutions out off of Licking Road, roughly approximately, I want to say about 3.5 miles from this property. So, and this is the north side of the property, north facing side. There's my fire pit. And I'm facing west-northwest in the direction of Casting Solutions from this property. Okay, so there's all that noise. Now, here I actually go out. This is Casting Solutions. This is the cast iron foundry out off Licking Road. This is a noise that I was just recording. That harmonic sound, that kind of ringing sound that's very similar to the tornado sirens at times. It's this plant that's making that noise. And not only have I heard that extremely disturbing noise at this property, but also at Walmart, at the parking lot of the VA in Zanesville. Let's see, Kroger's parking lot, Home Depot and Lowe's up off North Point Drive area in that intersection. I've been able to hear this noise at any given point in time and day, or at various times, I should say, because it's not 100% all the time. But I'm able to hear this noise extremely loud in other areas, not just this particular property. So this is something that the whole entire community should be aware of, and I don't understand why more people aren't bothered by this kind of stuff. You can see 4:51 a.m. Enough. I really hate hearing that. So that is Casting Solutions noise. Now here we have just two more recordings to go over, which actually I don't know if, yeah, we know what I will play this because this will give you an idea of what I had to deal with, just a sliver of what I had to deal with AEP. So this is me reaching out to AEP regarding the low frequency noise coming from the power lines or the power line equipment that I'm able to hear, that the noise assessment that they performed validated and verified that it is present. So this is how they provide customer service.
Welcome to AEP.
Now if you notice, I'm recording audibly. You can hear in the background the crickets. There, you don't hear any of the production noise from the stave company or Casting Solutions. This is one moment in particular that just so happened to be quiet, so you can get a reference. This is what it should sound like at night, and those other recordings that I just recently played, that's what it normally sounds like. So, just so you can have a comparison.
EP's Customer Solutions Center. This call may be recorded for quality assurance. In a few words, tell me why you are calling. I am sorry. Could you repeat that again? damages or hazards, please to report a hazardous condition. Your hazard report is important. Please hold. We are routing your call to the first available representative. We care about your safety and the safety of our employees. Please help us follow the recommended social distancing guidelines by remaining at least 6 feet away from our personnel while they are working. Hello, my name is Cher. May I have your first and your last name?
Yeah, hi, Cher. My name is Brandon. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. I just need to get a clarification on something. I've been dealing with some low frequency noise coming from the power lines and service equipment out here from the electric company AP Ohio on White Oak Avenue in Zanesville, Ohio. It's been like this for about the past 26 months, since July of 2018, when AEP Ohio made some changes to the service leg out here. Now, there was a noise assessment performed back in March of this year that confirmed, in fact, that this low frequency noise is coming from AEP's equipment. But one of the things that the expert, I guess, is saying is that according to occupational safety exposures, they're saying that according to those standards that this is acceptable. But what I'm calling to ask you about rather is occupational safety standards. Isn't that pertaining to businesses and industrial commercial properties? That wouldn't pertain to residential properties, correct?
I'm not sure. I think the best person that you would need to talk to is the customer service rep for your area.
Yeah, I've tried that.
So I can send them a message.
Yeah, I've tried that. Terry Gallagher. They don't return my calls or anything. They just send threatening letters and tell me not to contact AEP Ohio. But I can't get anybody to answer this question. I already know the answer to the question. I'm just expecting somebody from AEP Ohio to understand the answer to the question too. It simply doesn't apply. I don't live in an industrial or commercially zoned or industrial zoned property. It's a residential zone property, so therefore the standards are different for residential areas as opposed to businesses and for employees' exposure. I'm not an employee in a business. I'm a man that is staying on my property, and I guess for some reason this supposed expert wants to compare me on my property to an occupational safety standard set forth for employees of a business, which it's like apples and oranges, if you understand. So I don't understand why AEP Ohio would use that as an excuse and claim it's from an expert when they don't even understand the difference between residential property and commercial or industrial property. I don't know. I don't know. I've been trying to get this fixed for some time now, and I keep getting excuses after excuses. And when I found this out, that's what this so-called expert, I guess, is saying as to why they're not going to fix the problem out here, or why AEP Ohio is saying there isn't a problem, because even though they've identified that the noise is coming from their equipment, they're saying that it's, according to them, according to AEP, according to you guys, that it's acceptable. But apparently you guys are using the wrong standards. And even in the graph that was sent with the noise assessment results, it shows in there that sleep disturbances started at roughly about 22 decibels on the graph that was sent, and the values across my property are easily double that value. They're somewhere between mid-40s to mid-50s decibels across my property, which is twice the value. So it's more than twice as loud if you have any idea how decibels work. But regardless of all the details, the fact is that this problem's been going on for 26 months. I've been trying to get it fixed, and I've been getting told excuses after excuses after excuses as to why AP Ohio is not going to fix it. But all I've ever heard is excuses that don't actually pertain to the situation. They're using things out of context. Like I said, comparing my residence to a commercial or industrial property, it's apples and oranges. They have to use a standard that's appropriate for a residential area. Period. I don't understand why the expert doesn't understand that. But clearly, if he doesn't understand that, he's not an expert, right? So I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this and get this fixed. This has been going on for way too long. It took me from July 2018 until March of 2020 this year, just to get AP Ohio out here to figure out what it is or determine that it is in fact their equipment. They did that. You guys did that, and here we are, end of September, almost October, and still have yet to get it fixed. And I had some conversations last night with customer service rep, because this low frequency noise gets extremely disturbing, especially at night when it's a lot quieter, less ambient noises and so forth. It's a lot harder for me to distract myself from it, or to drown the noise out if it's even possible. But yeah, I'm just trying to get this fixed. It wasn't just to hurt somebody on their employees' exposure. And are you okay with working for a company that has no problem hurting people?
Well, I don't know all of the facts from both sides. All we know.
Well, that doesn't matter. I'm just asking a simple question. Let's say hypothetically, if you found out the company you work for is hurting people, would you feel okay and comfortable still working for that company and collecting a paycheck, knowing that they don't care that they hurt people?
Mr. Killeren?
That's not my name. That's not my name. But anyways, I just asked you a simple question. It's not that hard to answer.
I understand that you're not happy with the results of this complaint that you filed with the company, but I know that they've already ended this.
Oh, no, this didn't end. This hasn't ended until you guys fix it, or until you guys answer to the lawsuit that I'm going to file in court because of the damages that you guys have caused. This is far from over. You guys had no idea. And you guys can threaten me all you want with these cease and desist letters and all this garbage. Quite frankly, you guys are causing me harm on my private property, and that will stand for account in a court of law. I don't care what you guys say. This is not over. This is far from over. Mark my words. We will be dealing with this in a court of law because you guys have caused harm, and you guys have acquiesced and made excuses. And even to this day, after giving me the validation of the complaints that I've made, you guys still want to ignore it and act like there's not a problem when you guys yourselves have validated everything I've said. I mean, how incompetent do you guys got to be when you validate what I say and then you still want to ignore it and act like it's non-existent? I mean, it couldn't be more blatant that you guys are criminally negligent, and you think by ignoring it and sticking your head in the sand like an ostrich is going to somehow fix the problem? I mean, where are the adults at here? Are there any adults that actually work for AP Ohio, or does everybody just act like incompetent little spoiled children that don't understand how to do a job or a simple task and get it completed? How hard is it to understand? You've got either failing equipment or you've got an issue out here that's abnormal for the power lines to be putting out this type of low frequency noise, and you guys don't care that it's causing that problem. How psychotic do you have to be okay with that? I mean, that's indicative of some real serious mental illness if you have no problem with the fact that a company is causing harm to people. And you're apparently working for that company and profiting from it.
I can do for you in regards to this issue. You would have to speak to our either corporate management or legal team.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I'm still giving you guys opportunities to fix this. In the meantime, at this point in time, given right now, I can't move forward with the lawsuit. I've got other more pressing matters. But as soon as I take care of these other pressing matters, I will be moving forward with a lawsuit addressing this criminal negligence. But in the meantime, I'm still giving you guys opportunities to just be responsible and fix it. But you guys don't even want to do that. I mean, how ridiculous and incompetent you guys got to be when I'm trying to be the better man here and give you guys the opportunity to just fix it. And I won't have to call and say anything anymore and ask you guys to fix your screw up anymore because you guys will have fixed it. I don't understand why it's so hard for you people to understand that and wrap your mind around it. It's a very, very simple concept.
Okay, once again, there's nothing further that I can do to assist you.
That's not true. You guys don't want to assist. You guys don't want to fix the problem. That's the issue. You can say it however you want. The problem is that you guys don't want to fix the problem. You guys don't care that what your guys' negligence is doing is causing harm to people's health and causing harm to the fact that I can't enjoy my property. Of course you are, because you're okay. You're a psychotic. You're a psychopath. You're okay with people getting hurt. Probably are okay with abortions too. You fucking baby killer.
Well, there you go. You know, I may not be the nicest person in the world, but frankly, I don't care. If you don't like what I say, I don't care. It's my perspectives, it's my opinions. I don't agree with abortion. So, if you do, that's nice. Go be a baby killer. Okay.